Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at the ELSA RX5700 8GB refurbished model from AliExpress. At the moment it is May the 25th here in the UK, and we've just had two absolutely dire product launches from Nvidia and from AMD, but luckily something like this comes along to lift the mood. Keep watching to find out why. Okay, so my apologies for the slightly dramatic introduction there, but genuinely, this is a fantastic bit of kit. If you're perhaps searching for a used graphics card with some form of warranty, then you can do an absolute ton worse than this particular model. This is the ELSA Radeon RX5700 8GB model. This is, well, from what I can tell from the actual look of it and the layout and all that kind of stuff, and basically the imprints on the back, this appears to be what I can tell as being a XFX Radeon RX 5700 8GB, the dual dissipation model, or DD model, which basically it looks exactly the same as this, the only difference being that the actual stickers in the middle of the fans say XFX, and the backplate has XFX kind of stamped into it even more so. But if you kind of look carefully, or maybe squint a little bit, you can probably work out where the X, the F, and the X should be on there anyway. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that one out. So this is effectively, I'm considering it to be an XFX video card. It is a refurbished model, so there are going to be signs if you open up your graphics card that it's been opened before, and we'll show you some shots of the card actually stripped down so you can see what the heatsink is like, etc. You can see there's actually a 4 heat pipe heatsink section in here, and it does a fantastic job. It keeps it very, very cool. They've done a really good job, even though it has been rather crudely spray painted, as you can see from some of the B-roll we shot a little bit earlier when I took this thing apart. But actually, other than that, it looks like they've done a fantastic job in refurbishment. And when I took it out of the box, to be honest with you, I thought it was a brand new product. Now the box itself, when you get it, it's not going to be exactly inspiring, which actually is probably a good thing, because I would rather they spent money on refurbishing and getting a quality product than I would the packaging that they actually send it in. And the fact that this has come all the way over from overseas, China I believe it has come from, well, it's from AliExpress, so the chances are it likely has. It came within the 11 days that it was specified and arrived in one piece, and unlike a previous model I got, both of the fans actually work, and they both work absolutely perfectly and almost silently. So something we should get into straight away is the price of this, which is absolutely astounding. Considering where we are in terms of the marketplace and what is available on both the new and the used market, this at the moment you can pick up, including shipping, for under £100. Now the price has dropped slightly in the last few days since actually receiving and ordering this myself. So I paid in total £102.90, I believe it was, somewhere around that region. But at the moment they are offering free shipping, and it's currently £98 and X pence. So under £100 for a graphics card of this sort of quality. Now, comparatively, if you're looking at the 5700 and you're not too sure where it stands kind of in the scheme of things, when this was actually out and on the market, realistically, the kind of two graphics cards which were kind of very closely linked to this would have been, first of all, the GTX 1080, not the TI version, just the generic 1080. Very similar performance, although AMD generally, and especially now as drivers have matured, obviously AMD's fine wine technology, the RX 5700 is actually a little bit faster than the GTX 1080. On the other side of the fence, if you're looking at something a generation newer, then you'd be looking at something like the RTX 2060, not the 2060 Super, just the standard 2060. And again, very similar, that in a lot of titles actually does get beaten by this humble RX 5700 non-XT. And also you've got 8 gigs of RAM as well, which kind of beats it a little bit from the RTX 2060 with its 6 gigs of RAM. And for those of you that are concerned and thinking, well, is 8 gigs enough in 2023 going into 2024? Have a word with yourself. It's £100. What are you expecting? Them to gift wrap the thing for you? No, they're not going to do that. Obviously, 8 gigs of RAM for £100 is absolutely fine. It's more than fine. It's a very, very good deal. So let's take a look a little bit closer at some of the specifications, which I've pulled off from GPU-Z. So like I said, basically is a XFX Radeon RX5700 8GB. It does appear to have a slightly lower TDP, is something which I have noticed, and especially when running benchmarks, we're getting somewhere in the region of about 125 watts, which is down from the usual kind of 150, 175 watts that this card generally would draw, I believe. When you look at the CPU clocks, the base clock is 1650 megahertz, and the boost clock is 1725, whereas it does differ slightly with the normal version or the kind of non-refurbished version, which realistically, if you look at XFX Excite, then you're looking at slightly higher boost clocks. So same base clocks, 1650, but boost clocks up to and including around about 1750, 1775. Now, I have noticed that a couple of times when I've installed this, the AMD Radeon drivers does seem to want to undervolt the card, and it does it almost automatically. Now, whether that's me, whether that's a setting on my system, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had a great deal of time to testing. But realistically, if you want to run it undervolted, then if anything, you're going to be getting less performance rather than getting more performance if you're just doing just a generic undervolt. And it does seem that it does run very well. I've seen other reviews of this, and people are getting very similar results, around about the 120 watts mark for most games whilst in use. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it's running absolutely fine. Obviously, PCI Express Gen 4 x 16 slot. You've got GDR or GDDR6 from Samsung, which has been validated. It has got that RAM on there, so that's excellent. You've also got a 256-bit wide bus, which again is very helpful. The wider the bus, the more you can get information through it. So yeah, it all works out well. If you only look at two graphics cards, which have both launched yesterday and the day before from Nvidia and also from AMD, both of them brand spanking new cards, 8 gigs of RAM, 128-bit bus, which does appear to hurt performance, especially in some of the newer titles. So potentially this could have a little ace up its sleeve in that regard. And speaking of which, we should take a look at the card itself and see what tricks it has. So obviously you've got these two nice fans on there, really nicely done. XFX do great fans. And these, even if they're generic copies or clones, whatever, they do appear to do the same job. Basically, zero fan technology. So if it's under about 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, then they're going to be absolutely silent. Actually, while we're talking about that, I did notice whilst I had this taken apart, there is actually a dual BIOS switch, again, which is something which is very common to XFX cards in particular. I've had their XFX 5700 XT, the triple dissipation one, and that had the same thing. Whereas with that one, it got very noisy when I put it into the performance mode. Whereas with this one, I have tried the BIOS switch in both positions, and effectively the performance was identical and there was no change in noise. So potentially we might play around with that in future and maybe see if we can flash a 5700 XT BIOS on here, which was very much the thing to do when these things first came out. So looking at connectivity, so this is a dual slot card, although realistically you're going to need 3 PCI Express slots because you want some air to come in underneath. You have got 3 display ports, 1 HDMI port, so plenty of outputs on there, and a little bit of ventilation on the back. As we said before, we've got this metal backplate, which helps with a little bit of cooling. Taking a look inside, obviously again, like we said, 4 heat pipes in there, nice big heat sink, does a great job. I've actually repasted this one. The pads, new thermal pads, all that kind of stuff, so yeah, no issues there. Thermal paste, I wasn't sure what they used, potentially because it's come from a kind of a wholesaler that has been refurbishing them. You never know quite what paste they've used, so I've actually put some Arctic MX4 paste on there just to make sure that the paste is a pretty decent one, at least whilst I'm going to be testing it. And speaking of testing we shall do, so let's take a look at some of the benchmarks. So first of all, benchmarks, we're going to be doing some synthetics. So we're going to start off with Unigine Heaven. This is running 1080p, high settings, and as you can see from some of the graphs there from MSI Afterburner, we're looking at somewhere around about the 115 watts being pulled, and also we have our memory clock around about 1746, 1750, that kind of thing, so slightly under what it should be, and we're looking at 1675 megahertz for our GPU clocks. Temperatures wise, yep, no problems there whatsoever. Very, very nice indeed. Not getting particularly warm at all. Somewhere in the region of 60 degrees Celsius on the GPU. The hotspot temperature about 10 degrees warmer or so. Yeah, looking absolutely fine. And when it comes to the results, you can see 203.4 FPS, was our average, our score 5123, minimum FPS 53.3 with a maximum of 401.4, and again we're looking at around about 60 degrees Celsius whilst doing this. Next up, another synthetic, so this is the Time Spy Extreme Edition, and again it's an extremely similar story. So the GPU, we're looking at around about the 60 degrees Celsius mark. Hotspot, again, around about 10 degrees hotter, around about 70 degrees Celsius. Also, the memory running almost identical speeds, so around about the 1750 megahertz, just slightly under. 1746 was a commonly seen thing. And you're looking at a memory clock of 1663, thereabouts, on average. And again, we are drawing somewhere in the region of about 120 watts, jumping up and down, but normally around about that, sometimes peaking up to about 125, which seems to be the most it'll draw. When it comes to the end, we're getting a score of 4,291, which actually appears to be a great score in comparison with other systems of a similar specification, with an average of 4,091 and the best possible score 4,859. So it's very much a decent outing for this card. Next up, we're going to take a look at some games. This again is a kind of on-rails benchmark. So this is Far Cry New Dawn. Similar sort of story again. This isn't taxing the GPU quite as much, so our temperatures are down slightly. We're looking just slightly under the 60 degrees Celsius for the actual cores. And hotspot actually not much warmer. Again, 5-7 degrees difference, not a great deal at all. Memory clocks and the clock speeds. Clock speed's a little bit higher, 1674, but still not quite breaking up into the 1700s. Just over 100 watts used, and we're looking at 1748 megahertz on the memory bus, give or take. Averaging around about 106, so not too bad at all, around about 100 frames per second, which is fine. Minimum FPS was 81, so that's actually done particularly well. I do like to see higher numbers there, no heavy lows. Maximum FPS 152, and yeah, that's 1080p. Full screen, VSync is off, and the graphics quality is set to high, although have turned motion blur off. Next up, some actual real gameplay. So this is CSGO, 1080p, auto settings, which after checking, basically everything is on high or maximum. I have turned off motion blur once again because it's just horrendous. And this plays really nicely, very smooth. CSGO is one of those games where your FPS does change dramatically depending where you are, but we're looking at anywhere around the sort of 200 to 300 frames per second pretty much constantly on here. So if you are using a high refresh monitor, then you're going to be absolutely fine with this, even in competitive play with a humble £100 graphics card. Who'd have thought it? Next up, something actually a lot newer. In fact, only a couple of weeks old. This is Dead Island 2, a new game out from Deep Silver, and this is again running 1080p. We are running windowed full screen, VSync is off, and we have unlimited frame rates, field of view down to 75 degrees, and again motion blur is turned off. A little bit more taxing on the system this time round, so we're looking at slightly higher temps, up to around about 62 degrees Celsius was an average for the GPU. The hotspot just peaking over 70, and we're looking at 1673 megahertz averaging on the GPU clocks at 120 watts or so. And memory, again, it's a very similar story as previously, 1750, pretty much on the nose. Running very well in general. There isn't a built-in benchmark on this, so you have to take a look at the screen to see what the FPS is. And unfortunately, because I'm a moron, I actually forgot to make it look bigger, so you have to squint a little bit or get closer. If you look where the frame rate is, at the very end of there, you'll see in very small writing is the FPS, but we're getting on average about 80 FPS, which for a modern DirectX 12 AAA title, I think is actually pretty spectacular, especially at these higher settings. Next up, something a little bit easier to run if you want it to be, or an absolute nightmare if you go into some kind of hardcore modes on it. So this is Fortnite. Very similar story here again, 1080p. We have got VSync turned off, no frame limits, and we are rendering in DirectX 12 mode. Everything is set to auto, or what the system thinks is best for it. And also we do have the anti-aliasing and super resolution set to TSR medium. And as you can see in the gameplay, runs very nicely. Again, not overly taxing the system, so potentially we could push things a little bit higher, averaging in the region of about 150 frames per second on a relatively smooth graph there in terms of the frame times. Looks very nice. Again, similar story as what we said before, it's getting very repetitive, about 60 degrees Celsius, and the hotspot, not much difference again, about 5 degrees different, so that's absolutely fine. Memory clock, again, very boring, 1746. It's around that 1750 all the time, doesn't seem to wander from that. But overall, yeah, very playable, looks great, and yeah, it does very well. And I think that 8 gigs of RAM actually is quite useful here. We are starting to see the memory usage on this getting up towards 4 megabytes, so potentially if you have only got a 4 megabyte card, you're going to struggle, not going to be good. You're going to end up reducing settings. At least with this, there's a little bit of room to increase settings, maybe bump it up to Epic or Ultra. Certainly got enough RAM to do so. Next up, something a lot easier to run. So this is Rocket League, again, 1080p, all high settings, motion blur turned off. And we're looking at an average temperature, again, around about 60 degrees Celsius for the GPU, 65 for the hotspot, so very similar again. Actually pushing the GPU a little bit harder here, sometimes seeing 1680 megahertz, around about 120 watts, and crazy FPS, really averaging around the sort of 300 mark. A few dips here and there, but nothing too exciting. Runs like an absolute dream, as you'd expect, and feels very, very fluid. Next up is going to be Wreckfest. We love this game. It runs very nicely. In terms of the graphical settings, so this is a custom setup. It's basically set to high and ultra. So reflection quality is ultra, grass amount is ultra, effects quality is high, card detail ultra. Basically it's kind of cranked. It's not in ultra mode, but it's in high mode with a few tweaks. And this is 1080p again, and motion blur is turned off again because we're not going down that route. And it's pretty much exactly the same. I should have just said the specs at the start and said like every game is going to run the same, and it kind of does. So again, a little bit higher, 60-ish degrees on the GPU, 70 on the hotspot, and 1675 megahertz GPU clocks. 115 watts is the kind of average draw. Memory, we're looking at, again, using around about 4 megabytes, and the memory clock is at 1746. Again, very boring indeed, almost identical all the way through. I'm guessing we can tweak with that. Maybe we'll do that in a follow-up video. When it comes to the actual FPS, we're looking at some of the region. It does dip quite a bit in here because of what's actually going on, but anywhere between 130 and 180. So I would say you're looking around about 150 as an average. So there you go, there is a look at some synthetics and also some gameplay. I've not gone into any great depth on this. Realistically, if you want to see reviews of the RX5700, then you should have been around a few years ago. This whole video in its entirety is essentially pointing out to you that you can have a heck of a lot of fun for a very, very small amount of money, in terms of graphics cards anyway. £100 for this used, it even comes with a warranty as well, and it's guaranteed to be within 11 days shipping from China. So if you're thinking AliExpress, don't fancy it, it's kind of taking ages to get here. Yeah, I was very surprised, turned up within 11 days, no problems at all, and if it doesn't, they will refund you, or at least partially refund you, depending if you actually get it or not eventually. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But overall, I think for £100, impossible to do better on this. If you think you can, let me know in the comments section below. Maybe you've got some crazy friend who's going to sell you a 2070 for $100. If he does, then he's a lunatic, or pass him on to me, I'll buy it myself. But in the real world, if you're after a £100 graphics card, I definitely think this is the way to go. Now, I'm not an affiliate of AliExpress or anything like that, so there will be links in the video description. If you want to pick one up. If you don't, you don't, etc. Whatever. I'm just pointing out that this is a fantastic value deal, and I will be honest with you, I'm tempted to buy another one. So take that as it is. So let me know what you think about this one in the comments section below. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.